Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanamchari Jamuna Tira Vanamchari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Jaya Gopijana Vallabha Girivardhari Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajadana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanamchari Jamuna Tira Vanamchari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Bihari Hare Kṛṣṇa Hare Kṛṣṇa 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Gaura Pimanande. Jayam Vishnupada Paramahamsa. Privrajagacharya Stotra Satta Sri Srimad His Divine Grace. Srila Boy Charan Arvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami. Srila Prabhupada ki. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki. Skandi Biti, Founder Acharya's Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada ki. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki. Samaveta Bhakti Vrinda ki. Harinam Sankirtan ki. Canto Srimad Bhagavatam ki. Jaini Thai Gaura Pimanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and to Sri Gauranga. All glories to Sri Prabhupada ki. Om Agyanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chaksurunmilitam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhistam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatan Vitam Tvam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Shakanditam Vishcham He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakan Sanagaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyasya Kripa Sindhu Vyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Dharam Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayesha Badreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati uttama-śloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, whose praise with transcendental songs becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahmasamitam uttama-śloka-caritam Chakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. This Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Srila Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Sri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Sarabhyaya Namaha Om Sarabhyaya Namaha Om Sarabhyaya Namaha Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yat kripatamaham bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Welcome to our morning Bhagavatam class. We are continuing from Canto number 1, chapter 10, entitled Departure of Lord Kṛṣṇa for Dvārakā. And today is 20, correct. 2020. Anyonyam āsīt sañjalpa uttama-śloka-cetasām kauravendra-pura-strīṇāṁ sarva-śruti-mano-haraḥ anyonyam āsīt sañjalpa uttama-śloka-cetasām kauravendra-pura-strīṇāṁ sarva-śruti-mano-haraḥ anyonyam āsīt sañjalpa uttama-śloka-cetasām kauravendra-pura-strīṇāṁ sarva-śruti-mano-haraḥ anyonyam āsīt sañjalpa uttama-śloka-cetasām kauravendra-pura-strīṇāṁ sarva-śruti-mano-haraḥ
anyonyam āsīt sañjalpa
uttama-śloka-cetasām
kauravendra-pura-strīṇāṁ
sarva-śruti-mano-haraḥ
anyonyam āsīt sañjalpa,
anyonyam āsīt sañjalpa,
uttama-śloka-cetasām,
uttama-śloka-cetasām,
kauravendra-pura-strīṇāṁ,
kauravendra-pura-strīṇāṁ,
sarva-śruti-mano-haraḥ,
sarva-śruti-mano-haraḥ.
anyonyam āsīt sañjalpa,
anyonyam āsīt sañjalpa,
uttama-śloka-cetasām,
uttama-śloka-cetasām,
kauravendra-pura-strīṇāṁ,
kauravendra-pura-strīṇāṁ,
sarva-śruti-mano-haraḥ,
sarva-śruti-mano-haraḥ. anyonyam āsīt sañjalpa, uttama-śloka-cetasām, kauravendra-pura-strīṇāṁ, sarva-śruti-mano-haraḥ.
anyonyam āsīt sañjalpa,
anyonyam āsīt sañjalpa,
uttama-śloka-cetasām,
uttama-śloka-cetasām,
kauravendra-pura-strīṇāṁ,
kauravendra-pura-strīṇāṁ,
sarva-śruti-mano-haraḥ.
sarva-śruti-mano-haraḥ. anyonyam, among each other, āsīt, there was, sañjalpa, talking, uttama-śloka, the supreme, who is praised by selected poetry, cetasām, of those whose hearts are absorbed in that way. Kauravendra, the king of the Kurus, Pura, capital, Sridham, all the ladies, sarva, all, Shruti, the Vedas, Haraḥ, attractive to the mind. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Absorbed in the thought of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry, the ladies on the roofs of all the houses of Hastināpura began to talk of him. And this talk was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. Kindly repeat after me. Absorbed in the thought of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry. The ladies on the roofs of all the houses of Hastināpura began to talk of him. This talk was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. So there is prajalpa and sañjalpa. Difference. Purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is said that in all the Vedic literatures, the goal is the personality of Godhead, Sri Kṛṣṇa. Factually, the glories of the Lord are depicted in such literature as the Vedas, Ramayana, and Mahabharata. And in the Bhagavatam, they are specifically mentioned in respect to the Supreme Lord. Therefore, while the ladies on the tops of the houses in the capital of the kings of the Kuru dynasty were talking about the Lord, their talk was more pleasing than the Vedic hymns. Anything sung in the praise of the Lord is Shruti Mantra. There are songs of Thakur Narottam Das, one of the acharyas in the Gaudiya Sampradaya, composed in simple Bengali language. But Thakur Vishwanath Chakravarti, another well-learned acharya of the same Sampradaya, has approved the songs by Thakur Narottam Das to be as good as Vedic mantras. And this is so because of the subject matter. The language is immaterial, but the subject matter is important. The ladies who are all absorbed in the thought and actions of the Lord developed the consciousness of Vedic wisdom by the grace of the Lord. And therefore, although such ladies might not have been very learned scholars in Sanskrit or otherwise, still, whatever they spoke was more attractive than the Vedic hymns. The Vedic hymns in the Upanishads are sometimes indirectly directed to the Supreme Lord, but the talks of the ladies were directly spoken of the Lord, and thus they were more pleasing to the heart. The ladies' talks appear to be more valuable than the learned Brahmana's benedictions. Translation again. Absorbed in the thought of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry. The ladies on the roofs of all the houses of Hastināpura began to talk of him. This talk was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada is making reference to various Vedic literatures. Actually, all the Vedic literatures are either directly or indirectly speaking about the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Kṛṣṇa, and the essence of all of the Vedic literatures, as confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, of course, by Lord Kṛṣṇa himself, is somehow or other to be able to remember Kṛṣṇa, somehow or other be able to understand who is that personality, that Supreme Personality. Vedayasya sarvayar aham eva vedyo vedanta krit vedavid eva chaham. And there's a very nice example. Generally, ladies don't spend that much time, let's say, learning Sanskrit and performing all kinds of ritualistic activities. That is meant especially for Brahmanas. Brahmanas spend hours and hours, weeks and weeks and years studying the Vedas, speaking about the Vedas, and they know so many slokas. It used to be the system that one actually, we can still see that in some of the gurukuls in India. That's part of the system, actually, in Gurukula, that one is meant to spend hours and hours. I've seen it actually in Indonesia, which has, in many ways, very same approach to studying Shastra. They have actually thousands of, one will never imagine, but they have thousands, literally thousands of gurukulas in Indonesia. But they don't learn the Vedas. Actually, they have kept the same system, Gurukul system, and because it happened quite recently, the whole country was actually Hindu, following Vedic knowledge, but then one fine day, the Hindu king happened to marry a Muslim lady, and the rest is history, as they say, yeah. But they have a very wonderful system, which is exact parallel of what we have in the traditional Gurukul. And one is meant to learn actually by heart. That is a special gift that is given to young people. I mean, children. Children, when they're young, that's when they learn language. Learning languages is much more easier when one is younger than when one is older. So one would memorize, and of course, whenever it is needed, one would repeat these different, usually different mantras. So here Prabhupada is pointing out that the ladies, they were not such scholars, but their hearts were totally in the mood of remembering and glorifying the Lord, knowing that the Lord was soon to be leaving Hastināpura and going to Dvārakā. So in other words, one does not need to become a great scholar. One does not even need to be a scholar at all. What to speak of a great scholar. This verse is actually praising the ladies and explaining how what they were speaking was even more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas, isn't it? So that means that anyone who is actually genuine, anyone who is actually, this is what is attracting or attractive to Kṛṣṇa. Not simply, mechanically reciting prayers, but Kṛṣṇa is more interested in the feelings and the emotions, the consciousness when we are either reciting prayers or when we are performing different activities, as Kṛṣṇa confirms in the Bhagavad Gita. Tesham satata juktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami buddhi yogantam nyenamam upayanti te. To those who are constantly engaged in my devotional service with love and devotion. This is generally the missing ingredient. It's like when you're making some preparation, and if you forget to put the spice in, there will be no taste. And you'll find out very soon from your customers. Yeah. So when we perform activities, when we offer prayers, whether they are already, nice example also in the purport, Narottam Das Thakur, there are many examples as well of there's one, I don't know the name, someone in South India who was not at all educated, but his heart was totally sold to Kṛṣṇa, and and his, like in broken poetry or whatever, because the feelings are very deeply expressed, even though it is composed. As a matter of fact, there's a verse in the Bhagavatam also, even though it may be not always perfectly composed, what we need to look at, what is more important, or what is the essence, is the what is being conveyed, isn't it? So we are especially concerned about what is called, somehow hiding, what is called the language. What is the best language? Huh? English. God. That's a joke, right? What is the best language?
Sanskrit.
No. 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 The language of the heart. Yeah, because you can speak in Sanskrit. Sanskrit, of course, is the most developed language. Is the mother of all language, not English, nor Russian. Yeah, the language of the heart, isn't it? Which actually goes beyond words, which goes beyond different languages as we know them. So this is the language that the queens were using, right? And sometimes that language of the heart doesn't need any words, isn't it? Yeah. So the naturally the queens, because they are in Hastināpura, they're simple ladies, of course, from royal family. I suppose not so simple, but exalted. But the exalted feature of these ladies was that they were simply, genuinely, in love with Kṛṣṇa, full of appreciation, and therefore, when they were conversing and talking and remembering about the Lord, then what is it? Sañjalpa, talking, which means, so we have to replace prajalpa, from prajalpa to sañjalpa. So Prabhupada mentions here how the language is immaterial. So what is important? The subject matter. So there is what is called form and substance. In philosophy, that is often made reference to form and substance. So what is more important? Substance. Yeah, substance means the essence. So the essence in our lives is more important than what is external. Form generally refers to what is external, just like we're all sitting here in this form. Some forms are white, some forms are brownish, some forms are in between. But the substance within or behind that form is what is attractive. So Prabhupada would explain, why are we attractive to beautiful people?
Soul, the beauty of the soul.
Huh?
The beauty of the soul.
Yes, it is actually when that body is devoid of the presence of the soul, it becomes quite flat. You know, there's no more attraction, right? You look at somebody's eyes. Normally, when we look at people's eyes, we see, what is it? We see like, the presence of life is there, no? When somebody paints, somebody who's painting, the eyes, they have to put something to make the eyes like alive. And a dead person, that is gone. That's reflection of the soul. So what is attractive is actually the presence of the soul. And that is what we that is what we should be attracted, and not become what is it, bewildered or misled by the form, which is actually representing that original substance, which is spiritual or transcendental. And that is why, in the context of what Srila Prabhupada and our acharyas explain, what our acharyas explain in terms of Daiva Varnashrama, because we were discussing this point. That was a question. What is the difference between Varnashrama? Famous question. What is the difference between Varnashrama and Daiva Varnashrama? It's the presence of
Kṛṣṇa.
Yeah. Well,
Krishna is
it's that very word Daiva, isn't it? Yeah, the divine element, the divine, which is actually giving life, isn't it? So we are, again, Varnashrama is like, it can be looked upon as external form, isn't it? There's a form, but it just happens to be the ideal form. But unless it is infused with Daiva, with Kṛṣṇa, then that form is of no value, or of much less value. So this is what we are especially promoting. This is what the whole Vedic culture is speaking about, that that essence or that substance, which is actually Kṛṣṇa, as Paramatma, as the source of all other Atmas. So therefore, when we offer obeisances or respects to other devotees, we offer respect to whom? To the Paramatma within the heart, and also to the Atma, and the spirit living entity also residing, isn't it? And those two living entities within the heart. So this is what we need to. Whole Vedic culture is full of these transcendental descriptions. That's why Prabhupada is making reference here to the Ramayana, Mahabharata, and so many Vedic literature. Just like 2 days ago, we were sharing a reference to the harmonist, as it is. Yeah, because this is a more, we could say, contemporary. You're familiar with the harmonist? Yes, but in English. They're available in English in 8 big volumes. And they're full of, naturally, because it is written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, so it's full of like transcendental, most important, like we were, is basically the rendering of the Sadhana Toshani. Sadhana Toshani is one of the, I guess must be one of the major writings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he's known as, for many things, how is he referred to by our Gaudiya Vaishnava devotees who know a little bit about him? Just like his son,
Seventh Goswami.
yes, very good. Seventh Goswami. Why he's referred to as the seventh Goswami? There's supposed to be only six. Why is he referred to as the seventh Goswami? Any good guess? Don't give me a bad guess. Because
Manjari, and his position is a Manjari.
Manjari, no, that's not the reason.
He wrote a lot of books.
Ah.
He wrote the songs.
Huh?
Songs. He wrote the songs.
He wrote the song. He wrote the song. He wrote many songs. Yeah, that's part of why he's seventh, referred to or known as seventh Goswami, because he wrote many, many books. He has the right answer, actually. He wrote, I think, close to 100 books. Most people cannot even write one book. I mean, to write a book is not, you really got to put your head in it. And whatever else is needed to write a good book. So that is why his son, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, stated then that when these writings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur will be known to the English-speaking world. So the harmonist actually, just not that many years ago, has been rendered from Bengali to English. Very powerful. Some of the quotes are very important, actually, in reference to Varnashrama. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, I mean, he is known as, what else is he known for in terms of Kṛṣṇa consciousness? The pioneer for introducing to the Western world, to the Mleccha world. Hare Kṛṣṇa. And the proof is that part of the Mleccha world is now sitting in this Bhagavatam class. And are no longer Mleccha. Mleccha means what? What does it mean? Who knows Sanskrit here? Huh? What is the meaning of Mleccha? Huh?
The dharma is outer.
Who is not following the Varnashram dharma or all the Hinduism dharma and depart from
Hinduism dharma. Hinduism is not in the Shastra. You know that? You don't know that. You have to continue reading.
Those who are not following.
Those who are not following Sanatan Dharma.
Yes.
Those who are not following Vedic culture. Isn't it? That's Mleccha. Those who are outside what is called Arya civilization. What is meaning of Arya? Civilized. Yes. Arya means one who knows Kṛṣṇastu Bhagavan Swayam. That Kṛṣṇa is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Arya. That's why when Arjuna in the first chapter is lamenting, no, I don't want to fight this and that. Kṛṣṇa says, hey, you're talking like a non-Arya.
In our village, Malik word is used for dirty people.
Yes, yes, because dirty people, yes. So dirt is the opposite of cleanliness. Saucham. So Saucham is one of the pillars of dharma. Satyam, Daya, Tapa, Saucham. So when one is not clean, both internally and externally, then he is, we don't use the word dirty, we use the word impure. A bit more gentle. You know, it's a little less shocking if somebody tells you you're impure as opposed to you're dirty. Yeah. So actually anyone who's not purified in consciousness, then he is Malik.
Malik. Malik.
Manik.
Malik.
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 Melecha. Okay. Cha. Yeah, correct. In India, we come to know how it's like they don't pronounce very often the last part of the word, or it's like soft, like the many, like even Kṛṣṇa, Krish. There are many examples. So yeah, the whole purpose of the human form of life is to become purified, isn't it? When we are on the body platform, we are on the dirty side. We are on the we are impure. Yeah. So therefore, Srinvatam Sokata Kṛṣṇa, Kata Kṛṣṇa, Punya Sravana Kirtana, Ridyantas Toya Badrani. Abhadra. What is Abhadra? Sanskrit scholar? Not a scholar. Huh? Abhadra. Huh?
Obstructions.
Look it up. Abhadra.
Inauspicious.
Huh?
Inauspicious.
Inauspicious, unwanted. Abhadra. What is meaning of Bhadra?
Blessings.
Huh?
Blessings.
Blessing. Bhadra. In the early days in Calcutta, during the time of Bhaktivinoda Thakur, people who were educated and, well-to-do, they were called Bhadraloka. Not Bhadra, Bhadra, what is it? Bhadrajana. Bhadra means actually, if we find a Bhadra, we'll find Bhadra. That's in the second chapter, Bhagavad Gita, maybe 1 to 15, 1 to 17. Srinvatam Sokata, that verse. Srinvatam Sokata Kṛṣṇa. Well, I have it right here. Probably. I can find it more quickly than your machine.
Huh? We are using abhadra as abusive language. Like you are using abusive language. So in Hindi we call you are using abhadra language.
Our Sanskrit scholars speaking here. Srinvatam Sakota Kṛṣṇa. It is 17, eh? Yes. Srinvatam Sakata Kṛṣṇa. Punya Sravana Kirtanaha. Vidyantasto Yabadrani. Vidunoti Suritsatam. So Abhadra is Abhadrani rather is translated here as desire to enjoy matter. So if we had a Sanskrit dictionary or someone who's actually a Sanskrit scholar, I don't want to rub it in, then we would know we would easily be able to find out what is Bhadra. Bhadra is like good, refers to good, pure.
Bhadra like ideal.
Bhadra, ideal, yes. Yes.
Is ideal, Abhadra is not ideal.
Very good. Wow. Should we give him a medal? Dharma means religious, and adharma means non-religious. So, yeah, Vedic culture means surrounding ourselves with and absorbing our consciousness with, ultimately, Kṛṣṇa, things in relation to Kṛṣṇa. And that is why all of these literatures, that's why we need to establish one of the important aspects of our project here will be to have a library, isn't it? A library where we have the essential writings of our various acharyas, all of the writings of the Goswamis. I mean, even to this day, it's like Lord Chaitanya appeared 500 years ago, and the Goswamis are his contemporary, so they have written all of their literatures like 500 plus years ago, 537. Even some of those writings are not yet translated from Bengali or from Sanskrit to English, isn't it? Even some of the writings of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who only just 150 years ago wrote his various literatures, are also largely untranslated. And because the majority of the population in the world is still Militia, we have to translate in English to reach out to the world. So the reason I was referring to Daiva Varnashrama was to point out, when we have this kind of understanding, that means anyone within the system of Varna and Ashrama, from Brahmana to Shudra, anyone can hear about, study, and in this way purify one's consciousness, so that anyone who takes up to the process can become a pure devotee. Normally, our thinking is that no, Shudra cannot become pure devotee. You have to become a Brahmana. But no, in Daiva Varnashrama, anyone who is fortunate to come in contact with the knowledge, who is fortunate to associate with devotees, and we have many examples in the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Many of our acharyas were not Brahmanas, beginning with like Narottam Das Thakur. There was a big conspiracy. The Brahmanas were not at all happy. Who's this guy? He's not from Brahmana. He's not one of us. So why is he attracting so many followers? Why is he giving initiation? He's not born in a Brahmana family. He's not a Hindu, proper Hindu. So unless we come in contact with personalities like our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada, and all the Vaishnava Acharyas who have a very clear, very deep and profound understanding of what actually is dharma, I think something's in the making. Then we cannot properly. So it means our business, our primary business, our primary purpose and goal is to begin with, for ourselves to clearly, purely understand things in relation to dharma, ultimately culminating in understanding or appreciating Kṛṣṇa, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And then, to the extent that we are having some ability or some affinity or to to understand this philosophy, then we need to give an opportunity to as many people as possible to take up, isn't it, to the process. So this is one of the foremost, we could say, aspects of the mission of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, that this knowledge of Krishna consciousness needs to be introduced far and wide, and that's every town and village, as we hear, as mentioned also in the Shastra. So this is our verse for today. Just reading it again. Whoops, I'm in the wrong chapter now. So it's chapter. Wow, that was a big chapter. 20, right?
Yes.
Yes, 20. Absorbed in the thought of the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is sung in select poetry. The ladies on the roofs of all the houses of Hastināpura began to talk of him. This talk was more attractive than the hymns of the Vedas. Any thoughts, questions, or comments? What can we learn from this? Nothing. How is this applicable in our lives?
I had a question, like in the purport,
Yes.
Prabhupada wrote that mantras and the song which was written with the great devotees, Vaishnavas,
Yes.
they had the same effect as the mantras.
Yes. Yes.
So, what does it means? Like, I can understand what does means like effect of mantra, because it's in the Vedas, and if you chant one mantra, you will get one effect. If you chant another mantra, you will get another result.
Yes.
So how to understand that the song which was written with great devotees? Was
how it is mantra?
Yes, how it is mantra.
Yes. What is the actual meaning of mantra? You don't need to be a Sanskrit scholar. That is explained very often. What is the actual mantra? Mana.
Mind, tra means manas, and tra,
Yeah.
two words. Manas it's mind, and tra it's I don't know how it is in English.
Liberate or free. Make free, deliver.
Yeah. Mantra is to relieve the mind of all types of, let's say, anxieties or whatever. Ultimately means to actually purify the mind, to elevate the mind, purify the mind. So, in other words, there are Vedic mantras which are meant to serve that purpose, isn't it? When we read, Bhagavad Gita, all Shastra is like mantra. So Prabhupada makes the comparison here, or makes the point that when great personalities, like specifically Narottam Das Thakur, because he's quite unique, his writings, especially his songs that he has composed, because they are so they are so pure, they are so full of meaning, they're so full of philosophy that they are as good as Vedic mantras. One can actually learn the philosophy which is given in our Shastra through the songs of Srila Narottam Das Thakur and other such acharyas. In other words, they have the same effect. Even, well, here it's mentioning that the talks is not even, just the ordinary talk, which is, we can understand, is not so ordinary talk. The talk of the ladies who were simply absorbed in remembering Kṛṣṇa and glorifying Kṛṣṇa. That Prabhupada is making the point here. Well, that's the text itself. Those, because they were imbued with transcendental emotion and feelings, are considered as more attractive, more pleasing than the original Vedic hymns. So again, we can understand by this form and substance. We can recite the Vedic hymns, but if we don't put our hearts in it, then the substance will not come. But even without reciting Vedas, if ordinary talk is having the substance, Kṛṣṇa, the sentiments, the emotions, then that is more important. Kṛṣṇa is more pleased. So that is why Srila Prabhupada explains how the writings, the songs in particular of Srila Narottam Das Thakur and other similar personalities is like as good as Shastra. They are they are good as Shastra because they're having the same effect, even more so than Shastra. That is why also Srila Jiva Goswami very nicely explains and establishes in his Satsandarbha that what is the source of all knowledge? I mean, besides Kṛṣṇa, what is the source of all knowledge? Veda, isn't it? Veda is the source of all knowledge. Correct? Yes. But the Srimad Bhagavatam is glorified and established based on Shastra by Srila Jiva Goswami as being more important than the original Vedas. That is why in our Bhagavatam class, we study the Bhagavatam and not the Vedas. Because to study the Vedas, you have to be a real advanced Vedic Sanskrit scholar. Because Sanskrit has different levels. The Vedas are written in a particular type of Sanskrit, very high level Sanskrit that nowadays people don't even know. You see. So that's the main point, right? To focus on what is the essence, or what we call substance. So whenever we perform any kind of activity, it's not really the activity that is so important, is the mentality, the consciousness in which we perform those activities. That example of in the pastime of Lord Ramachandra, this one Mataji who was in love. She had the greatest, she was always thinking about Lord Ram. praying that, oh, one day can Lord Ram come, you know. I don't know the details of the story, but she was, yeah,
Shabri.
yes. Who knows that story? Without going half an hour? Yeah, okay.
But I know the story, but not in English.
You know the story, but not in, who knows the story in English? Huh?
Mata Sabri eating half of the fruit, bear, called bear.
Bear.
Half of the fruit, that he tastes like it's sweet or not sweet. And he
Okay, so she only wanted to offer what is sweet,
Yes.
and in order to make sure it was sweet, she was eating half of it.
Yes.
Isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
And he
Sweet, then she would offer.
he flowers in the way, he took flowers in the way to Lord Rama comes from this way every day. And he waits for Sri Ramchandra every day.
She was waiting for Lord Ramachandra. She was putting flowers.
Yes.
So that, and then one fine day, Lord Ramachandra came.
Yes, one day.
Then what should he do?
And then Lakshmana seeing that this fruit is eaten by her, and he is like,
Chandra says, no.
and Ramachandra eats very.
Okay, she was offering to Lakshman, and he said no, because he didn't, and then he didn't want Lord Ram to take that fruit because she had taken, but Lord Ram said no, because she's doing out of pure devotion, of pure love and devotion. Yeah. Now we should not start going eating half the bananas. Because actually, in the Western world, my father was a cook. I've seen him. They're in the kitchen mixing the pot, and then is it right? Yeah. So yeah, we should not. So therefore, one of the Vaishnava etiquette is that we're not supposed to taste the food before we offer. But I think there's one example also in Prabhupada's pastimes that Prabhupada allowed that someone tastes, but not that you take the spoon and put it back in the pot or whatever. Okay, Krishna's sending us some signal here. Some drops of water are coming. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai Sri Prabhupada ki Jai Gauda Pinamandi.